Peaceful Army.
Peaceful Army.
Welcome to the podcast of the Peaceful Army.
What? Really? And I'm not sorry.
What does it mean?
Oh my god!
Greta's gonna wreck my shit.
Yes, I'm obsessed with Greta Van Fleet, and what do you care?
I think I'll make this my entire identity.
That was not very Peaceful Army of you. If you don't like it, you can fuck off!
Wow.
We're back.
What do we have going on today, co-host Lindsay?
Well, first of all, welcome to the podcast of the Peaceful Army. I'm your co-host, Gresty Lindsay, and
I'm your co-host, Gresties Zoey. I don't know why my brain farted. It's like, what am I called?
What is your name? Who are you?
I don't know.
We need to get the introductions going because today we have a very special, extra co-host, Gresty.
Yes, we do. And it is...
Hello, guys. Hello. It's Eliza from the Gretaverse.
We are doing, finally, the Gretaverse X Peaceful Army podcast collab. It's been a long time.
Everybody, they've just been knocking down our door asking for, and we are delivering.
Yes, I have been wanting to do this since I saw that, like, y'all's podcast, y'all started this podcast, and I'm just like, we have to do this. And, like, I love it because I'm like, it just goes to show, like, we're all about that peace, love, and unity.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Well, some of us.
Correct. We'll get there.
We need to, I feel like we need to get this like thing going of like Grestimonials, right? Like,
yes.
Eliza, we need to hear your Grestimonial first. Like, understand who you are, because we've got to yap a little bit, but like, maybe some of our listeners haven't listened to the Gretaverse as much, and maybe some two people only listen to us and don't listen to you. So for those two people.
Yes. Here we go. So, also, I feel this is so weird being on the other side of things. I've yet to be a guest on a podcast. So,
wow.
We are honored to have you be the first guest on any podcast, and we're happy that it's ours.
I'm so happy that it's y'all's. Okay. So, in 2019, I was watching a little show called SNL, which I watched every Saturday night. It was a ritual. And I was especially excited because I loved the host. It was Rachel from Brosnan.
Yeah.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes.
Anyway, I loved that show, and I was so excited. And I had not a clue who the musical guest was. I'm just like, whatever. Most of the time, I just kind of like on my phone during the musical guest, unless I really liked them. And so that day was different. It's so funny. I have a picture that I took like the day of, and I'm just like, of just a selfie in my mirror of a new outfit. I was like, who knew this was going to be the day that changed everything?
Mm-hmm.
So I, also I'm a yapper and I go the long way around. So I'm sorry that this hour and a half
is a podcast. You're fine to yap.
Yeah. Audio medium. Let's go.
And that's why we podcast, because we're yappers.
Exactly.
And so they sang, and I'm like, what is going on? I would also like to mention that I've always loved like the old school classic rock, like 60s, 70s, 80s rock. But I just kind of have like a revival, I guess you could say, of like coming back. It's like you come in phases, and it's like a phase that like had left, and now like when I tell you I watched Bohemian Rhapsody every single day, it's my comfort movie, like during this time frame. Okay, so because I'm also a big fan of Queen. And so I was like, okay, this is a little weird, like the weird little man. I went on Twitter to see what Twitter people were saying to make fun of them.
Yep.
Like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is gold. I gotta see what these people on Twitter saying. And I'm pretty sure I even liked some of the stuff. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, what is going on? And then they sang You're the One. And I'm like, because, like, part of my lore is that, like, that's my absolute favorite, has now become my absolute favorite song of all time. And so then I'm like, I go to sleep the next day. I'm like, let me just check out this band, after laughing at them. I'll just check them out. Sold the moment on. everyone in my life knew who they were. And it was kind of like, at that time, like, I didn't know anybody else that liked the band. I told, like, my best friends, and they didn't listen to me, you know. As the
classic.
Classic, right. And so, except for my dad. My dad was like, yeah.
Go dad.
Go
He
dad.
gets it.
He gets it. And so I kind of quietly became a fan because there wasn't anything. There wasn't this. There wasn't TikToks. There weren't anything. And so it wasn't until it was just like, this is my favorite band. So I was around for Anthem of the Peaceful Army. Which is like my favorite album of all time. Like, I listened to it every single day in 2019, 2020. And then Teabag came out. I love Teabag. I remember, like, sitting in my office waiting on, like, my boss to leave so I could, like, watch, like, the Age of Machine music video, you know?
The best music video ever to be created.
Exactly. And, like, I was, like, there, like, waiting, like, I was excited, and I just felt like I couldn't share it with anybody, of, like, no one else in my life, like, got it, you know? So it was, like, I felt like I guess I could call myself casual, because at that moment, I think everyone was just a casual fan, you know? Because at that moment, like, if you go on my Instagram, if you go on my TikTok, you will see that I go to concerts literally every other week. And at that moment, I was like, oh, I don't have the money to go to concerts. I don't have anyone to go with. I don't want to go by myself. All of that. And so then 2021 rolls around, and then I remember the account that posted the You're the One clip, the now infamous You're the One clip, I literally said, I finally made it to Greta Talk. I commented on that video, and I'm like, yes, finally, this is my band. And all these people were getting, like, mega excited, and then it just blew up, and I'm just like, what's happening? Said one of my best friends, said, hey, I started listening to Greta Van Fleet, and I mean, you know what? I told you 2 years ago. And then, yeah, she started her era. And so it was cool. Now I had someone else. And so part of the lore is that we decided for Halloween that we couldn't go to the Strange Horizons. It just didn't work with either one of our schedules. And then Greta was happening. But the week before Greta was Halloween. Mm-hmm. And this is actually one of my favorite, like, things, is that we decided to dress up as Greta Van Fleet. We couldn't get any of our other two friends to dress up as the other two. So I was going to be Sam. She was going to be Jake. I'm a Sam girl. She's a Jake girl. And Kayla eventually becomes my podcast co-host. And so she gets a blazer. Like, we, like, go all out. I get a lady to sew a wing on a white blazer for me to be Sam, like, slay. And then we decide, well, we can't just be Sam and Jake. So we get cardboard posters printed out from FedEx of I have Danny and she has Josh. And it's very much like now, like the Teabag photo shoots that we, like, got. Because we couldn't afford we wanted cardboard full-size cutouts, but we couldn't afford that. So we just got the posters. And so around the same time, I started talking to this guy that I'd met on a dating app. And I told him, oh, like, I love Greta Van Fleet. And he goes out, he's like, I'm about to see them in Atlanta for Metallica because I'm a huge Metallica fan. I'm like, shut up. Oh, my gosh. I want to go there.
Let's get married.
Yeah, literally. I'm just like, oh, my gosh. So I invite him. So my friend group, our annual thing is to go bowling on Halloween dressed up. So this is where we were going to be, Greta Van Fleet. And we all met so all my friend group went on my first date with me. My first date ever.
Oh.
With me. Yeah. He dressed up as James Bond, and I was Sam Kiska.
The perfect pairing.
And we took the cardboard posters into Steak and Shake.
Oh my god!
Like, the whole band ate, and
oh my god!
We recreated, you know, like the video, the TikTok of, like, Sam with the bowling ball. This one's for you, bestie. I recreated it, like, as is perfect. I've done a side by side by them before, and so it was cute. Love that. And looking back, I'm like, did I really like him, or was I just hoping that he could drive so I could go see Greta Van Fleet? It ended up where we didn't get tickets, and he went to go see them before I did, and I'm just like, honestly, rude. I told him songs to send me. Did he send me any of those songs that I asked? No, I should have known then. But anyways, so I just think it's just really funny that I went on a date dressed up. My first date dressed up as Sam Kiska. It's really important for a later part of my lore, if we must. This is a long introduction. I'm so sorry.
Is it relating to the TikTok you recently posted of you dressed up as Danny?
Yes. So, that relationship didn't work out, and it's okay. I thought that I was singing "You're the One" to that man and "Light My Love," and I'm just like, why did I do that? He was not it. But you know what? In all things, boys are temporary, Greta's forever.
Amen. Yes and amen.
Yes and amen. He's gone. Kayla and I drive 13 hours to Kalamazoo because we had bought Dreams in Gold Kalamazoo. That was the funnest experience. We had these sweatshirts that said Greta Van Fleet or Bust with like their photos on it. And I was in the Kalamazoo Hunger Games. That was wild. But I ended up meeting some really good Gresties that I still have to this day. And we were right beside each other. And ended up like third, fourth row. The pit shifts. So it's like, right in front of Sam, and I'm just like, what is life, I end up going to see them more times. In the summer of 2022 is when Kayla and I decided, you know what, we yap enough about Greta Van Fleet. Our friends are tired of hearing about it.
Yep.
Let's start a podcast. Thinking, if you listen to our first podcast episodes, they're bad. Like, they're just... So no, we're like, thank you for who continued to listen. Like, episode 5, we get good. And so it just kind of started from there, and we go to a few more shows around Charlottesville. So September, I start dating another guy. He also likes Greta Van Fleet. It's fantastic. I'm just like, okay, great. I meet him wearing a Sam shirt. He knows that I love Sam, and I make him choose lanes. It's perfect. And so then cut to Halloween again. A year later, I'm with another guy. I do a TikTok dressed up as, actually for our annual bowling, I dressed up as Calibunga. And then on actual Halloween, I was Danny. And it was during the time of Taylor Swift's Bejeweled dance TikTok trend.
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
I do a yeah. So I do a TikTok on Halloween of Danny doing the Bejeweled dance trend.
I have not seen this. I'm gonna go look it up now.
Yes. And so I'm still dressed up as Danny. We had already he lived in South Carolina, so we were gonna FaceTime. And I'm head to toe still dressed up as Danny. Wig, rhinestones, dark makeup, shiny shirt, and he looks very solemn, and he's breaking up with me.
Wait, over a FaceTime?
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, but you looked hot though.
Right. Literally. And this was already, I guess, like the day before we had gone to Birmingham, and Kayla and I dressed up as Kiss the Sun, Fight the Fire. And yeah, we took those off in the pit because they were just really big and like in people's way. We put it in front of the barricade, and Greta's team took it off. Like, I believe somewhere they have our costumes.
That's so funny.
So that happened. Like, this was in a span of like a weekend that all of this happened. And then FaceTime, and then I realized what's going on. I'm like taking the rhinestones off, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm ripping the wig off.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
No, it's so funny.
I wouldn't even know what to do. I'd be like, well, you're not breaking up with me. You're breaking up with Daniel Wilder right now. So
yeah, I FaceTime one of my other Greta Van Fleet fans like right after to tell her, and I'm just like, what happened? What just happened? I then DM Danny and tell him like he's seen that. Because just like y'all, I choose to believe that he listens to both of us. Both of our podcasts.
At least Danny, because I don't know, I just have this weird feeling that like when he's bored, he might not watch every episode, but I think there's been at least a few times where maybe he's thrown on at least 15 minutes of them to see what we're talking about with them.
No.
The ego, even.
Your podcast having more notoriety and having been around longer, I completely understand. Us, I don't I think about it.
Yeah. I also believe that Jake might have listened because he has used the term Gretaverse in an interview before.
Maybe.
I don't know. And when he touched my hand and went by me in Madison Square Garden, something in his eye, something. It was the double take and the smirk as he's walking past me.
That was Danny, Lindsay. I'm telling you. You didn't look because you were so scared, but I saw him and he went.
Eliza, I didn't even look at him. I had that rose in front of my face. He looked at me and like looked up and down to make sure I got the rose. I did not even look him in the eye.
Yeah.
No.
How do you though?
No, do you? How do you? Because all of a sudden there was a rose in my face and I was like,
what is this? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have a feeling that either their team is watching it or they're watching the clips or something.
Yeah. Just to make sure we're not being sus.
Right. Literally.
Yeah, just making sure they don't have to pull out the papers to send to us.
Exactly.
You know?
Right. Exactly. I'm like, I'm waiting for that cease and desist anytime.
So that was us when we were creating the name. We were like, can we do the font? Can we say Peaceful
we thought
Army?
so seriously about it, yeah.
Yeah, no, same. I thought the same thing with the font, but I'm just like, it's a font. Like,
it's a font.
It's a
we stole their font.
Stole their font. Yeah, so I've just been to shows, and it's just, I love the community that I've gained from this. And, like, it's just, like, I don't know, like, we go through these phases of, like, being, like, band together because of the music, and I think we're going to get into this later, and then not, and then it just makes me so sad to, like, be a fan of, like, I love Greta Van Fleet, and I love the music, and I've been around a long time, and I feel like I can be a voice for, like, so many people, like, if that, I have older fans that have come to me and asked me about questions, or like just younger fans of wanting to be like there for them, you know, of if you have any questions, I just want to be that welcoming face because like I understand like there can be age differences and like gaps and stuff and that we can be a little bit nicer to one another as well. And I understand generational gaps is a big thing. And so like I love my older lady Gresties and like they're the sweetest and coolest people. And, and like I also feel like I'm like 30 and I'm just like, I feel like I'm so like, I can go in between. And so it's just really cool, like to get the messages and to meet the people. And I got stopped at a Comic-Con yesterday from a Greta Van Fleet fan who knew me.
That's
like,
awesome.
It's crazy. And I'd met her at another show before. But it's just kind of cool, this community that I've been given, that we've been given, to be able to have our thoughts and to people say, oh yeah, like I agree with you. Or like, also, I didn't even mention Greta Van Gel, just kind of starting that. It was just a random of like, oh, I'm going to put them in gel. And then it became a bit and I commit to a bit. And then the same thing with the Danny cardboard poster. I'd made a funny, it was like a trend of like awkward, weird things you have in your house. And I had showed Danny in my guest bedroom and someone said, Danny guest bedroom. I'm like, oh, bet. and so I have a Danny guest bedroom.
Themed.
I love that.
Yeah. And you can actually stay and you can sign the Danny guest book that I have.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to.
I would love for y'all to come.
Next show so in the South, we're coming to the Danny guest room.
Yes, please.
Girl, I will. I 100% will. I warned Zoe. I was like, it's going to get a little southern up in here because I'm originally from Missouri and I've been back home many weekends recently. And when I go back home, and my family's from Arkansas, so I end up picking the inflection up a little bit more when I come back. And then I'm like, I don't feel Southern because I'm from St. Louis, but sometimes it comes out a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm deep South. And so people like comment on like the way that I say jail. And
jail?
That's jail. And it's been the funniest. Like the caption on TikTok does GEL.
Oh, like gel.
Oh, gel.
Yeah. Jill was the other day when I looked at the captions. It's hilarious. And so I love doing that. That's honestly like my favorite bit to do. And it's cool that like on lives I have people saying, put him in jail. And I'm just like, I never thought that this would happen. Like, this is crazy. So I'm just one to commit to the bit. And so I some might say I took it too far. Maybe not enough. I don't know. But
clearly Greta is also that way. Like we are this way. We are a product of the band we're following, right?
Correct.
Like, they're goofy guys. Like we're goofy people. And I agree with you. It's like a really cool way to meet people. I've been engaging in fandom as a big nerd. Like, hello. Like most of my life. But this is this is the first band that I've been able to engage in this way. Like with other women like around my age and like non-binary people.
I dragged you in here, Lindsay. You were just like kind of in there.
I was ready. But we really decided together. We were like, no, we need to, because it's the same thing with you and your friend Kayla. It was her name's Kayla. Yeah. It's like we can't keep irritating the people in our life anymore.
No, and I literally I dragged you. I was like, we're gonna make theory videos. Don't worry, I'll do everything. You just have to talk.
Yes. No. And one thing I love is theories. So that's why I'm like, oh, y'all are like gonna delve into theories. I am here for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love just deep diving on something, and if I have a reason, like something that's been really big for me lately, and maybe not the best motivator, but has helped me, is I've had a really hard time with reading. So if I'm like, this pertains even a little bit to Greta Van Fleet, I'll read that book in like 2 days.
Absolutely.
Like, The Alchemist, read that in like a sitting. Still working on my pirate book that Jake read. Like, I will read a book if it all pertains to Greta Van Fleet, even in the slightest. If they've touched it, I will pick it up.
No, so. I love it. Like, it's just kind of like just cool how you pick up on things. So, like, for instance, I am a huge musical theater fan.
Oh yeah.
And I have I don't know if it's private or not, on Spotify, where I took the lore that I have made up in my head of like, what we've kind of seen, and I have a whole jukebox Greta musical.
Stop.
I have it in 2 parts. Yeah.
You have to send that to me right now.
I have Act 1, Act 2. Now, the new songs from Starcatcher are not on it yet. I need to revisit. But
that's such a good idea.
Act 1 starts with Age of Machine. Age of Man. Act 2 starts with Age of Machine.
Yes.
And so I have like...
We haven't done that episode yet, and I want to analyze the music because you know, oh my God, the analysis. Okay, that's not what this episode is about, and I'm excited to get back to that stuff because I think we've been talking a lot about the fandom, and while that's like really important and we love that stuff, like that's the heart of it too. Is just like being dorks about this music and like like gritting into it. That's such a cool idea though. I love that you did that with musicals, and I genuinely do want to hear that playlist if you will share it with me.
No, I will 100% share it. It's called a very Greta musical right now.
Love.
But I don't know what it would be called, but I need to like revisit it and like because it's like all the songs from like the first, like the EP and the first 2 albums. But now I feel like there's even more things. Like I have like the characters built. Like I've done this with Taylor Swift. And with like Folklore and Evermore and
Love
stories. Yeah. So, but then I'm just like, I gotta do it with my boys.
Of course. So they've given us such a good story.
They have. I will admit I did do this once, and I don't know if my boyfriend's nearby and listening, but this was like right at the beginning of our relationship where like Greta was just kind of happening for me. Like I was in it, but I haven't jumped into the fandom and like really launched into it. I was just listening to the music all the time, and he had bought me tickets to go see them. So I was getting like amped up and listening to it every day. And to bag, I was like, we need to come up with like what the order of this is. Let's come up with a story, like a musical, because we're both film people. So we were like, let's think about this in like a context like that. And I felt so bad. We're sitting in the car for like an hour, and I think I had to like pause play, different song, pause play, be like, okay, but does this come before or after? And he'd be like, no, I think you should put this song. And I was like, nope, actually that can't go there because Stardust Chords is actually down here, so you can't do that. And I felt so bad that I was basically telling him he was wrong, but I mean, he doesn't get it like the girlies get it.
Right.
Doesn't get it.
So
Exactly.
We love Cooper, but
he is a Grestie now, but back then he was just getting his wings.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta gradually dip your toes in it.
You do.
You either do that or go full force into it. Like there's no in between.
Yep.
Yeah. I was that way when Starcatcher came out this past summer. And it's so interesting to think about. Like, I've really been in this fandom for like a year at this point. It's very reflective. I'm like, so much has happened in a year. But
for real.
The vinyl release, the early vinyl release, I realized it was happening like 5 minutes from my school, and it was a back to school day. I've left this school now, so but it doesn't matter. I can talk crap about it. I was literally going back and forth, though, from back to school day. Like, I was doing my job and then driving to see if the line had started, and it had. And I should have known that day one. I should have known, these Gresties mean business. But that was my first thing. And I remember showing up and people being like, so what songs are you the most excited to hear? I didn't even know the singles at that point. I mean, I knew the singles, but like I didn't know the track like names or anything. I really threw myself in. So
I wish I could have gone to that, but there were none close to me that I could just dip out for, a 5-minute drive. I was so bummed. I wanted that slip mat so bad.
It really, maybe this is just Indianapolis, but to me, I think it was kind of indicative of how I have found some of the fandom to be. Of like when I showed up, I still have one really good Grestie that I still talk to from it, but a lot of people were not very inviting. Like they kind of had their group of people. And it was clear that like I was a little bit newer, obviously, even though I was pretending hardcore. I'm like, oh yeah, all of them. I just like all of them. Yet the Archer, that reminds me of Taylor Swift. Don't mention Taylor Swift.
No.
Oh, just kidding. No, I don't like Taylor Swift. No. Oh man, that is kind of like stuck with me. Of like that attitude has kind of held through, even though now I feel like obviously a very secure person in my fandom, right? But that is how a lot of, I think, people relate to each other in this fandom. And we kind of wanted to get into that a little bit, I think.
Yeah. The cliques.
It's the cliques and the celebrity culture of fans, even in accounts. And like, I think that we can be so like, it could be easy for us to even get into it,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like, I've been there and I have to be like, whoa, I'm a person, I'm a fan. And it's still awkward. And I'm just like, well, I will talk to anybody that will listen to me. And I'm such, and I've said it on my podcast before, and even like TikTok, that I am such like you're welcome at my table. Like, I don't care who you are, what you've done, where you've been, what age you are, whatever. Like, if you need people, I'm going to be your people. Whether it's your best friend or just, hey, check on you to see how you're doing every once in a while. Because I'd rather you be here. And if I can be that voice of hope and kindness, I'm going to do that. And so that's just who I am. Of like, I want to talk to anyone, but it's like so interesting when people come up. And I'm sure y'all got it during the Starcatcher round, and I know that y'all talked about it in your last episode of like, whoa, people want to talk to me? Like,
yeah,
it's very jarring at first. Yeah. Like, I don't, like, it wasn't that bad to me when people were like, I watch your podcast, and I was like, I don't know how to talk. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm better at this socially, I promise, but this is the first time it's happened, so I don't know how to do it. And then to find out that people were like nervous to meet us, I was like, that
broke my heart. Well, because I feel like that's the big thing of like one, Greta's music is about connection and community, right? But then like I myself am a huge ass dork. I feel like that's my favorite thing about fandom, and always has been my favorite thing about fandom, is like it's for the weirdos. It's for the people who like things too much, and to see people try to make it about not that is off-putting to me, because I've always been a person who feels like I'm on the fringes of things, and this is a way that I feel like I can connect to people and relate to people in that way. So it does make me sad when people are like, oh, I'm scared. It's like, no, don't be scared. I'm a weirdo.
If anything,
and I might scare you because I'm weird, but exactly.
If anything, I'm more scared because I don't want to be like too weird to somebody. Like, I'm a weird kid. I've always been a weird person. Like, the boys' little skits and sketches they do, I've been doing since I was like 13 years old. Like, but weirder. So if anything, I'm scared of like making somebody be like, that chick's weird, get away from her.
She's off a rocker.
She's a little too into this Greta Van Fleet band.
Yeah. No, for real. I think like it had happened before, kind of like in Charlottesville, because this was like once we had the podcast and I started Greta Van Gel. I was like meeting friends, which that was the easiest pit camping line ever. And we can kind of maybe talk about that of like just examples later on. But Birmingham started to get like some people knew me, but it was mainly like my friends that I had met through Greta. It was not until Tampa that I was in line for merch. Simply in line, mainly I had all the Greta merch. I was getting like pound mouth, LOL. But I was in line because we had seats. And this was also my first time doing seats for a Greta show. And I was in line, and these two girls tapped me on the back. And I turned around. They were like, oh my gosh, you Eliza from the Gretaverse? And I'm just like, yeah. And
yes, I am.
Yeah. And they were like, oh my gosh. And they wanted to like take a picture with me. And like, they were like, we were so nervous to meet you. And like, they're shaking as like, they're like taking a picture with me. And I'm just like, you don't have to like, we're good. We're friends. Like, we're good. And so that was just like the first time. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. Or I've had people like comment saying, I saw you at a show, but I was so nervous to talk to you. And I'm just like,
we had a few of those.
You don't have to be like, so if you're listening, come to us.
Seriously,
come to us.
Or if you want us to come to you, message us on Insta and be like, hi, I'm here. I'm scared to walk up. I'm here. Can you come say hi? Like,
no,
yes,
for real.
Of course. Because I am also, my anxiety, especially, I don't know if we were just having a different vibe, but the, oh my God, the Charleston show, my anxiety was like through the roof for that event. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I had two new Gresties. It was their first show. So that was also like, they were anxious to meet people. And I was like, I know 15 people at the show. And I think I only saw like 3 because I couldn't find anybody. Everybody just was kind of running all over the place. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go find the people I know and know where they are. I saw your Instagram story and I saw where you were and I was like, I'm gonna go find her because
I was gonna go find you, and so then it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yes, I just popped up and I was like, hey.
Yeah, which that was one of the most iconic shows for me. But I do agree, like there were so many people that like I knew was there, and I hated that like I was hoping to meet that I didn't, because it just felt
the layout of that venue was weird to get in. Like, it just made it so that nobody could really engage. And then the pit line was hidden. And I tried to walk through the pit line to say hi to people. And people who I know were like, hey, come say hi to me. I was like walking down and like waving, and they weren't looking at me. And I was like, this is weird. This is uncomfortable. Like, do I still push through that anxiety, or just maybe they've had a bad day? Maybe don't engage.
Yeah. Eliza, were you in that pit line? Were you in pit?
I wasn't. Okay. I had seats. I had B stage.
Oh, right.
And and I had gone through that earlier. Like, I always like to get at shows earlier to see people.
Me too.
Because I know it's going to be chaos afterwards.
Yep.
And so there was a few key people that I knew were in pit that I really wanted to see. So I actually like went there that morning before they got wristbanded. So I kind of had an idea of who was there. just to like say hey and to make sure they didn't need anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, y'all are good. I'm gonna go. And then so I kind of like knew who to expect to see, and that's why I got there. But then it was like we didn't know where to line up. We didn't know, and then they were running late with getting stuff done, and then the poor Pit had to walk up a ramp, and then like it was wild. It was weird. And I felt that I couldn't, like I had to like be there and not be over here to like see someone, or you might miss when to go in and what to, it was weird.
Yeah. It was a really weird venue. Those ramps were weird. And then we landed in Charleston at like 11 in the morning. So I was trying to coordinate with my friends in line. I was like, so are you guys still there? And they're like, yeah, but we don't know if we're staying. Like, we don't know what's going on. And I was like, okay. So we were just gonna, we were like right across the street from the venue. So I was like, we're just gonna walk over. Walmart's on the other side, like 20-minute walk. So we're going to go there if no one's there. And then everyone was clearing out as we went. So we went to go get lunch. And then on our way back is when we saw Mirador pulling in. And I was like, oh, I bet that's why everybody got let go, because they had to let some of the talent and stuff back in.
Yeah.
So that worked out in a way. But then I went back earlier to get the papers for the Light My Love stuff. And just like, I felt like people were like not really looking or not trying to interact. I was like, I get everyone's in a stressed out mood, but I'm just trying to say hi, you know.
And my section never got a Light My Love thing.
Aw. Okay, when I did it in Indy, there were some people who just like said they were gonna be there and didn't show up, or just like weren't, you know, able to pass them out the way they wanted to. So I wonder if it happened like that too.
Yeah, I think so, because the girls behind me, which ended up being some of the coolest people, and one of my friends, or now she's my friend, I didn't know her until like we were in line together, because we were the first ones like to go in with like just like the seated people, and then they ended up behind me, and then I literally talked to them. She got it on video when Sam took my hat and everything, and then she ended up being beside me in Pitt for Duluth, and then it was just like, and it was just like, I feel like we're just kindred spirits now of like, we get to experience 2 shows back to back together. And so
that's so cool.
It's just so cool how that works and how you meet people like that. But they had said that because their friends and their Greta group chat were kind of the ones trying to head that up for Charleston. Maybe, I don't know what was going on. I know that they were trying to do some, and she said some people had ended up not being able to do sections and everything.
Yeah, they said a lot of people just stopped answering in the group chat, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they gave papers to somebody that were in my section too, so they were supposed to go to the other sections, but then I was like trying to pass the papers out, and they're like, we already did it for you. And I was like, why? Like, I'm here. I came here early. What are you doing?
Right.
But I was like, it's fine. Like, whatever. I just was explaining to some of the people what they were. Like, people saw me with the bag, and they were like, what is that? And I was like,
what's going on?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, the poor people that this was like their first Greta show didn't know what they...
Hey, but at least you brought them in. I feel like that's a big thing that can either make or break the experience for people. Is like, if you are a person who's bringing in rather than just, you know, keeping out. And I think a venue and how it's set up can really like make or break people's experiences. But the Gresties themselves really, I feel like I want to put out the edict to be like, we really need to think about and talk about as a fandom how we are interacting with each other at these shows. Like, whether people are your friends who you've seen a million times, or it's like random people who maybe they are only coming to this show because it's in their city, you know? Like, I think that's a big thing. I guess that's what's happening when, like, you know, people don't want to talk, or like people are standoffish. I can't really tell sometimes, though.
You know what, though? Every concert that I've gone to where the people are friendly and where I've interacted with most people. So Boston was one of those. That was one of my first, like, that was like my 3rd Greta show. And we hadn't even started the podcast yet. It was just me and my boyfriend, but the people around us were super nice. Some of my coworkers were like up in the stands. Like, I knew people there, and that crowd was insane. Everybody was in tune. Everybody was in the music. It was like one of the best shows. And even Josh said that. He was like, this is probably one of the best crowds we performed for. So I was like, this is like best night, best concert. And then St. Louis was not bad in terms of how I've heard other pit lines, but it got a little nasty.
It was scary being new to it too. Like, even if it isn't the worst thing you've ever experienced, I've been in pits before, but like how sad. I felt worried for my sibling that was with us because that was their first Greta show ever, their first big pit experience. Like we were in pit for Hosier when he was in Nashville, but like, I don't know, man. I felt very protective of them because of the attitudes around us that were very, not necessarily elitist, but the vibes were scary from like the first moment people showed up.
Yeah. People were tricking us too. They were like, we're not lining up. Oh, just kidding. We actually are. Like, it kind of sucked in that respect that people were trying to fuck other people over. I get that's how you play the game. But at the same time, like,
I don't want to play that game.
I don't like that.
Because here's the bottom line. We all bought tickets. We all are so deserving to be in that show wherever you're at. But it is, and I have felt this before of like, oh, I didn't get barricade. Well, I'm not good enough. And I have felt that way. And and it sucks because like, it's just like, I've said this multiple times on my show, but barricade is not the end all be all. No. I had an amazing time at B stage in the back when they were up at the front. Like it freed me up I was just dancing. I didn't feel like I needed to be catching everything because I couldn't see everything. I was just hearing it. And like, I will 100%, if I don't do pit, will do B stage.
Oh, yeah.
If they continue to do that. Because I just had such a fun time. And even, like, I will say I was in row in MSG, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. I was 2 rows in front of you for that show, and I will admit, I was scared to come say hi to you. Because I saw you, and I kept doing... And then I was like, Cooper, that's the girl that does the Greta podcast. And he was like, do you want to say hi? I was like, no, I'm scared.
You should have. Or I wish I would have known, or I would have come.
It's all right. That show was also a stressful environment. Everyone was like, what's going to happen tonight? And then nothing did.
Nothing. I got so much anxiety for nothing. For nothing. But yeah, so anyways, I've always said, I just want barricade one time just to experience it, and that's all I need. And that's okay. And it's the fact that like the one time where I would have had barricade was the tornado show. And
the universe said, not your time yet.
Not my time yet. And so it's just always like, it's the attitudes. It's I don't want to say elitist, but it leans towards that, whether it's intentional or not. And I think it depends on the per person. I think there are some very pure-hearted people.
Yeah.
But also, and I don't want to speak for everyone, and I have so many friends that have been on Barricade all the shows, and sure, they deserve it just as much as everyone else, you know, and it's first come, first serve, and it's stupid that we have gotten to that spot where you have to camp 2 days in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, that's ridiculous, but it is what it is. And so then you can't come into it wanting pit, thinking you can roll in at 10 o'clock when wristbands.
Yeah.
Like, in a perfect world, yes, but we're not in a perfect world. We're in a fandom that has gotten to this point. Like, for Huntsville, people were, like, threatening to go shoot the line with pellet guns. Putting Legos out and then it's the fear of if you start the line that you're going to get canceled.
Yeah, why is that a thing? Let's discuss, because that was the reason there were verbal altercations happening at one of our shows.
St. Louis, people were getting nasty. I was in a Facebook
like calling
message.
police.
They're like, we're calling the police. We hope you get sick. We hope something happens to you. Like, whoa.
So far from peaceful.
Insane.
It's so far from peaceful, and it's not that deep.
Oh, it's not. Thank you. Oh my God.
But I feel like social media, not just in Greta, but in Harry Styles even, that like needing an interaction with the artist means that you're valid. And
that you're better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yep. I've fallen into that too, because I've let the fandom culture get the best of me, where I was like, when I do my art, if Jake and Josh don't like it, that means I'm a terrible artist and I shouldn't do art. No, that's not what that means. I'm still a valid artist. I'm still good at my craft. Who fucking cares if they see it? It's their problem if they don't. And what does it matter?
Their loss.
It's not worth being on the pit every time to, one, basically hurt yourself, get sick, put yourself in danger of people who are threatening you, put yourself at risk of getting bullied, or like it's just
being unsafe. In St. Louis, I was very worried about that because I'm from St. Louis, and it ended up being a relatively like fine neighborhood. But there are areas and cities where it's not smart for you to be out there as a woman alone, or, you know, just like a person. And that's not even to speak of, we're not even talking about, disabled Gresties. Like, there's no accessibility there. It's a hard conversation because it's like, how do we make it better for people? But I think the only conversation that we can have is like understanding why it's happened, and then making sure we know like our worth doesn't lie in that, because you can't tell people to stop. Like people who have the money and the time, they're going to do it, and I'll go for it. Do I think give other people a shot? Yeah, sure. Like I think that would be smart, especially for you know, your bank account too. But like you can't tell them to stop. So
that.
Okay,
like,
what do I do?
You can spend the money on pit. Go to the pit. Sure. Like if you have the money, that's a completely different experience. And some people are pit people. But
you don't have to be
do
on the
we
barricade
realistically need barricade multiple times on one show when people are like?
Some people they can only try it one time.
Yeah, and it's like their home show or something like that. And it is the fact that I have seen people so upset with the attitudes of other people in the pit line, or the line leader, or the just attitude of it, that they have left. I've had friends that have had panic attacks and left and didn't get to experience it, or said, "This is crap. I don't want to deal with this. It's unorganized. I feel unsafe, so I'm leaving." Or they're being mean, or I don't feel like I belong. Yeah. And that hurts my heart, that they cannot enjoy this show from their favorite band that they love because of people's attitudes. And boo on you if you make people feel that way. Yeah. And I don't know if they will ever get it.
No, probably not.
But here's the thing. On the flip side of that, we're responsible for our own attitudes. And how we handle the situation. When I realized in Duluth that I knew my number was not going to get, by that time, like if I was 15 minutes away when I knew that the line had started. And I wish that I had been sitting in that parking lot, but I didn't know, you know. But I was second row. And every time I've been pit, I've been third, fourth row, and then second row. And I always like to joke, I'm like, it is my always a bridesmaid, never a bride. But I come to the acceptance of, I'm where I'm at. I'm in front of Sam. I get a really good view, and I'm in a really good window. And like, it's going to be awesome. And my feet are going to stop hurting when I took my shoes off for Geese. I'm like, it's going to be fantastic. I am going to be right there. I'm going to feel the heat in my face, and it's going to be fantastic. And they're going to be right there playing these songs that I am going to sing at the top of my lungs with people that I love.
You get the privilege of being that close.
And I get the privilege of being that close. Yeah. Some people would get second row and complain.
Yeah. Yep.
And
speak on it. Speak on it, because that's ridiculous. These tickets are far too expensive for you to be doing that.
Right.
And you've waited too long in that line. You have to set realistic expectations. And that's what I said to Lindsay. I was like, even if we're a couple rows back, fine. If we can even get a catwalk barricade, because my anxiety was so high that, like, I don't want to be squashed or stepped on, and I'm a very small person, and I wanted something to hold on to. It's like, if we could get a barricade anywhere, I would die. I would be happy. But if we don't, like, I will still be fine, and we will still have fun. Yeah. And we got Jake catwalk, and I was like, this is it. That's all I needed. And I'm here, and I'm going to scream. And I was the scarediest little soldier that ever existed. I was experiencing a difficult time of the month to be traveling and seeing a concert and being on Jake catwalk. We know the lore. So it was just... it was a lot, and there was a lot to complain about, but it just didn't... It didn't matter.
You get in there and it doesn't matter. And like I could have just been bummed and had the worst time of my life. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't. I accepted it. I'm great. I don't wish that someone would pass out so I could get front row, which I've heard people say that before. Like,
really?
Yeah, of just like, oh, like I hope like someone
people are cutthroat, man. That's what I don't get. I don't get.
Have you read GVFT lately? Because it gets further and worse than that. It is...
Cancel GVFT. Hey, coming out right now, hate GVFT. Fuck them.
But you know what? Yeah. But you know what is something that I think people don't consider, because I've been on the nasty side of social media before. That one goes down, either another one's going to pop up or it's going to start coming. Yeah. Oh my God, I hate when my screen does the thumbs up bubble. Another one's going to pop up, or it's going to start coming into Instagram and TikTok, and the comments are going to start getting worse, and the bullying is going to become more direct. So as much as I say, fuck that account, it's a place where you can block them, you can ignore them, and the worst people are there, and we all know that. And if you comment on that, I hope you feel freaking great about yourself, because why? Why do you feel the need to drag other people down?
It's the jealousy. I think a lot of it is jealous. So like, okay, so-and-so's had so many interactions. Okay, well, they've had them. Let them have it. And that's okay. We don't have to like then be like upset and say that they're the worst person unless they're
fandom math.
Right. I'm just like, it just happens. Like, let people live, let people enjoy things. Yeah, do you wish that you could be barricade or have that interaction or whatever? But Josh isn't going to come and kiss like 20,000 people. Like, he's not.
No. He's getting there, but
he's getting close. Cut it in half, 10,000. But
10K.
10K.
We'll be modest.
And Jake's like, get your butt back up on that stage. I'm tired of playing the guitar.
He's going to start super gluing Josh's lips together. He's like, no more.
Yeah, because now he can sing. He's fine. Well, and we talked about this a little bit last episode, too, of like the parasocial part as it pertains to the boys. And they'll be fine. Like, they don't need us to protect them. And you talked about it a little bit, too, Eliza, of like, some people are getting so far into this and reading into what they're saying on stage with, like, Eliza, when you're on stage, half the stuff you're saying does not pertain to other people that are seeing it, would not understand it at all and are taking it out of context. And sometimes I think people just, and especially people who can go to every single show every single night, I just wonder, like, how far out of our real lives are we getting removed that we're now reading our existence into this so hard? Because obviously we love this. We love fucking podcasts. Right. But there's a level of just, we always talk about like the parasocial hat. You have to be able to know when to take it off and like enjoy your own experience, enjoy your own life, and like remember why you did this in the first place. Like, it's like, for your life and your experience.
Right. Like, are you going to be upset if you don't get a rose? Yeah. Are you going to be upset if you bring a sign that says Jake pick ? And you don't get one? He hates you now? Like,
Shit,
Like,
that was me. That was me.
Real.
I'm working through it. I'm so sorry, guys. I've been so...
Don't apologize. It's a real... I think that's a huge thing is people don't realize how real this stuff is. And it's not just Greta. It's not just women. It's not any... This is a real human desire to see something that you love so much love you back. But it's not... It's just something you have to be able to work through yourself, you know? Like, we just have to be aware of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think it all started with my Josh picture when I held it up for him. And I think that just, for some reason, that, like, anxious part of my brain just took it all over and was like, he knows who you are and he actually hates you. And when he saw that it was you behind the picture, he just was so disgusted. Like, how dare you show up to one of his shows? Like, that's what's going on inside my crazy brain. And then Jake ignored me twice when he was walking. Ignored. I'm using quotations here. Yeah. He didn't turn. And so that, whatever. But the person next to me, who was my best friend, got a rose. And that was the most magical thing because you just turned and, like, launched yourself into me. And I started like, crying. But, like, the magic of seeing my friends experience it made it different. Like, I just had to change my perspective because my friend Dom, who I love so much, Jake came over and, like, held her hand in Charleston, and she was so excited and then saw that he walked right past me, and then she started crying because she thought I was going to be mad at her. And I was like, girl, no, like, that's Jake's fault. That's not your fault. Like, this is your first show and you got to touch hands with Jake Kiska. What was it like? And she was like, clammy. And I was like, of course. Like, she was so upset because she thought I would be mad because she's seen from, you know, what I've told her how the fandom can get. And I'm like, but that's not me. Like, I'm not mad at you. If anything, fuck Jake Kiska over here for walking by me. Like, I'm dressed as a pirate. He loses. Like, I don't know. But it was even funnier. Like, that I was like, don't worry, I'm not mad. Like, I have plenty of chances to do this again if I want to do it again. And I think that's something people forget, is they think this is their one and only chance to get something. And it's not. Right. So.
And I also think that, like, because I've had to, like, reel myself back in the same vein of, like, I'm a known fan account and, like, person, and so I deserve this, you know? Yep. And, like, there's so many of, like, like, I have this big account, I'm known in the fandom, so obviously I have to, like, have this interaction.
Danny's liked my stuff. Josh has commented on my thing.
Right. So obviously they're gonna know who I am, and, like, and they're gonna come talk to me because they're my friend. That's not true. Like, I think Danny's mad at me right now because I discovered something. So, like, fun fact about me is every concert I've ever go to, when I go to bed at night, I watch the videos again. And so I had friends. I have the hat interaction from Charleston about every single angle. And also GVF Australia was sending me and I'm just like, sweet. Huh, I love her. And so I saw one that I hadn't, like, I guess I'd kind of watched, but not with the volume up. And when Danny puts my hat on, which I did not know until, like, after it had happened. Like, they're back on, like, the main stage when my friend sends me a picture of him in the hat. And Josh goes, "That looks good on you, Danny." And I'm just like, that happened? And then I see a video of he has it on. He looks at Jake and goes, "It's heavy." Like, aggressively. And I'm just like, oh, he hates my hat. He hates my hat. And because Sam had already also commented about how heavy it was.
Was it really heavy?
Okay. You know
real.
What?
You heard it here first.
Kind of heavy. Yeah.
It was kind of heavy.
But you know what? I worked for hours. And so I'm just like,
period.
I worked for
He's
hours.
Weak. Danny, you're weak.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Danny, if you're listening, I worked for hours. And then y'all canceled the show. The tornadoes came. So that's but so and I'm just like, oh gosh, like, they probably threw the hat away. Like,
they were like, this like, frisbee it.
So like, get that out of our sight. It's hurting our heads.
Well, and I think it's helpful too, like when you are a musician and you know what it feels like up there, it's like it's good to remember this is a job. Yeah. They're getting paid to do this. And that doesn't make it any less important or valid when they do those interactions from stage. But I do think it colors like how people really feel connected to it. It's like, yes, they're making those connections. They're being intentional about that. Mm-hmm. And it's a really incredible experience that they're giving you. But they are, again, giving you an experience you paid for.
Yes. Right. And like,
they don't owe you anything, really.
That's what I was just about to say. Mm-hmm. They don't. And so, like, and then there's the whole thing of, like, I think part of the parasocial hat of, like, y'all better act right or they're not going to do this.
They'll do what they want.
They don't know. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. They know that we're setting up the lines, and they're okaying it. I'm pretty sure they get the last say whether the lines get kicked off or not.
Josh advocated for us in Duluth.
That's sweet.
Apparently. I don't know. I still think that's fake, but apparently it's real. I don't know.
That's a random rumor.
Like, they don't... Maybe they do know more about the fandom than I think that they do, but I doubt they know about, like, all the ins and out of the, quote, bad stuff that's going on, or
also,
the
it's
drama
none of their
between
business.
People. No.
Truly, it's none of their business. Like, this is... I would be insane. I would be batshit if I went out of my way and said, like, yeah, I do this so specifically they'll know me. If I had even had an inkling of a thought that we had decided to do this in order to, like, be known or be seen or, like, one day meet the boys, I would not have done it, because that's not what this is about, at least to me. And I know it's not to you guys. Like, it's about the friendships. It's about the love of the arts. And that doesn't make us any better, but I do think it makes it more healthy for you when you do have that disconnect from social celebrity culture, because it's just not healthy. It's not healthy when we think about the interactions that we have with them. I know we think about them constantly, right? And maybe there's a level of that that's not that healthy. Maybe it's a cope. Maybe that's what we need to talk about in therapy more often. I don't know. But that's between you and God and your therapist, okay?
Exactly. But, like, this is, if anything, for me, like, this was our fan page, this podcast, our accounts. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to make my own fan page at this point. Like, everything I want to say or do, I could do with this, because Lindsay and I are just like, you want to make memes? Go ahead, make memes. You want to do a video about this? Go ahead. Like, we just have fun with it.
That's what I love about us. We're like, you want to go shitpost? All right, do it, babes. Go.
Go on. Do what you want. And that's the nice thing about Lindsay and us and just, like, how it works. And I think that's maybe why people gravitate towards us, because we just kind of do give a shit about Greta, but don't give a shit about what people say about us or
stuff, the really extra stuff.
Yeah, like, we're just trying to have fun. We're trying to yap.
Yeah.
We're a bit crazy and not
take
crazy in a harmful
seriously.
Way, but, you know, it's just, I think that's what's great about the Greta podcast girlies, is that we're just... We're just average.
Guys, we're really good.
Yeah.
We're better than you, actually.
Yeah, actually, like...
Oh, I'm going to throw up.
No, I remember... for some reason, it was in the height of, like, oh my gosh, I have a podcast, so, like, they should, like, notice me, you know, because that's...
we all fall victim to Delulu land.
Right, Delulu. So, like,
that was me after our one episode with Matthew. I was like, oh, well, now they have to know me because I interviewed someone that knew them. I was like, no.
Yeah, me when I did, like, Adrian from Trabucha Kombucha. Like, it's so dumb.
That's so fun, though.
He was amazing. Like, he's a Grestie. But that's, like, for Charlottesville, I literally thought it would just be funny to have a sign that was like, Danny, if you listen to the Gretaverse podcast, like, give me a peace sign. I'm just like, that's so cringe. And then for Huntsville, I had a sign. So on one side it said, Sam, this hat's for you. The other side says, this is your official invitation to be on the Gretaverse podcast.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I threw it away. But you know what? It was okay. But I think it's just taking ourselves less serious. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that this should be, and I've said this before on the Gretaverse, is that this isn't out for most people. Yep. Like, this is just for us to have fun, and it should be fun. Mm-hmm. If you are having a panic attack, if you are upset, if you feel left out of your group chat, or there's drama in a group chat to make you feel less joy, find different friends.
Period.
Find different people in your life that's going to support you. Because there's other Greta people out there that are looking for that community.
There are so many.
There are so many people who'd much rather make good friends than get involved in the drama. And I'm thankful that, I believe, in my opinion, I've found mostly non-drama good people.
Yeah.
And that is thanks to our page and the people that have commented and, reached out, and that's amazing.
And the law of attraction. Like, you will receive what you put out. So if you are really desiring to have a platform and, be a person and get numbers, you're probably going to attract a lot of that too. Like, if you really desperately need to be number one in front, you're probably going to have to be among a lot of people that maybe don't think about the army the same way we do, Like, you just have to be able to recognize, like, what do you want from this? What kind of person are you going to be? What are you going to promote? And who do you want around you? Like, I would totally do Pit again. I would 100% do it again if I were there with my girlies, because I want to be able to bring the peaceful army with me. And unfortunately, sometimes I don't feel it there,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, just a good example of that in the recent events of this past month is that for Huntsville, there ended up being like 2 lines. There was 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, if y'all didn't know that, which was wild. I like mentioned it in like my episode where I talked about this, is that like I emailed Greta's email saying that we feel so unsafe.
Wow.
I know that they'll never see it, but it's just now, like, with the threats that we were getting, with security of not feeling if they were on our side or not, like, it was just wild. But I was with people that I love, my group, my girlies, like my ride or dies. Mm-hmm. And then I go to Duluth, which technically is even more. Huntsville was in my home state, but Duluth is closer to me. So I said that Duluth was my home show. And which, again, that doesn't even matter. Like, you want to, like, love your home show, but, like, you got people from all over coming. Like, I'm going to other people's home show,
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, I go and by myself, really, but all the little pockets and groups of people, the cliques, the whoever, the big fan pages, all of that, I knew all of them. And I'm friends with them. Like, a lot of them I talk to every single day, but I didn't have my group. Like, I still felt kind of lonely. Like, I felt like I was like hopping from one group to one group, and then still feeling left out of sorts, even though that all of those groups of people would never tell me that,
Sure.
But, like, it's like you have your own group and they were with their own group. And then there's me just being like,
It feels like middle school all over again, man. I relate to that a lot because I teach middle schoolers. Like, that is the feeling overarchingly a lot of the times. And I know, like, adults were supposed to be over that, but you never really get over that feeling of insecurity. And I think a lot of people are emulating that in situations like this. And it's I think we could do a better job about it. I wouldn't be saying any of this if I didn't believe we could do better. So.
Right. Yeah. And, like, I'm not saying if you have barricade and you've had it 50 times to all of a sudden get to barricade and turn to the person behind you and say, you know what? You take my spot. Like, that's not going to happen. And
no, but maybe you wait an hour to join the line.
Maybe
you just get a sandwich before you head over there. Like,
don't die in line in order to see a show you've seen 10 times.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. But
that's me being petty.
No, but I completely agree. And like, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. And I think we have to accept that. As a community, we have to accept that. But as I said earlier, you're responsible with how you handle things.
Exactly.
If you're upset that you didn't want to camp, you're not going to get front row. Like, and that's just the culture that we're in, and it's so sad. Like, I don't know how to flip this around. I honestly feel like first leg of Starcatcher was a little bit better about this, of like getting there the night before. And then I feel like you come to the crazy South, and it just got weird.
Yeah.
Girl, that's a thing.
It is.
I think that's something we can start to promote, though, is like, you know, we can switch
be
this
nice,
around.
Which
Be nice.
I can't believe this is a message that we have to reiterate. Like, these are usually, it's not the young people that are starting these. It's the people that are like between my age and Lindsay's age. Like, you know the golden rule. It was drilled into your head as a child. Like, don't. But I say all this, and I know how the universe works. I know what's gonna happen. Karma's a bitch, in the words of JoJo Siwa.
Yes.
And something, if you're gonna act horrible to somebody at some show, don't expect in the future that everyone's gonna be nice to you. And you have to deal with the consequences of that. And that's why try to be nice to everybody, even if they're not nice to us, which kind of happened in St. Louis, and something you got to work through. But
and also, like, at this point, I'm like, if people are crap posting about you all the time, at that point, I'm gonna take an internal look at everything of how have I acted? Is there something that I could change? Are there people that I can go to and apologize to? You know?
Yep.
And
looking at the man in the mirror.
Right. And I think we sometimes when we get into those situations of, oh man, they're talking about me on GVFT. Sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it is not warranted. But sometimes it is. I mean, let's be real and honest. That's when you look in the man in the mirror and how can you change? Who can you go to if you've realized, oh, maybe I didn't handle the situation, or maybe I did make them feel unwelcomed, or I completely disregarded someone's thoughts and feelings.
It's mob mentality at those shows, and it truly showed. And I was expecting it, but I think seeing it happen right in front of us was like, oh my God, people are trying to publicly shame people. Like, this is insane. Like, I get that people are upset, but people were taking it to the next level at our show. And I was like, oh my God.
When your desire is to be right over a person's dignity, I think that's when it becomes too far for me. It's like, I understand if somebody's in the wrong, they're in the wrong, but you still treat people with respect. You still understand that maybe they were jumping line for a reason. They thought it was valid, or they were so overcome with emotion that they justified this. Who among us has not done that,
Right.
Like, recognizing that, hey, if the situation is taken care of, it's taken care of. It's not your job to publicly shame people. It's not your job to start rumors. Your job is to be a part of the peaceful army and promote the overwhelming culture, which is love and peace and unity. And I think we can do it. I think we can get it back.
Yeah.
I have something to say too, is the people who say, because there were some people in our comments on one of our TikTok that was like, peaceful army's long gone. And I was like, but you're part of the problem by saying that too, because there is fixing that can be done. We have to change, not we,
be honest.
Not saying us specifically, it's our job, but we as a community, this is something we can change. Why do you think that the boys are less active on social media? Because probably they've jumped on a few times and seen...
And people be mean!
Yeah.
People be mean. People be weird. People be mean.
People be mean on socials.
Yes, and another thing is people thinking that they have rights over the guys.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if we want to get into this, but this is just like
maybe
irritating.
on your episode we should.
Oh yeah. Should we transition?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the heat of the debate. All our listeners have to come listen to your episode to hear the rest. How are we going to how are we going to fix it, guys?
How are we going to fix it? All right, guys, we kept rambling because we were just going right into part 2. And if you want to hear the rest of the part, because we were in the heat of the conversation, I could promise you it's a good listen. So you should go.
We actually solved world peace. So
yes.
we actually did. So you definitely want to hop on to that next episode.
You definitely do. And you also need to go follow Eliza on everything at the Gretaverse, right? It's just the Gretaverse on Instagram.
Gretaverse.
And Spotify and all things good. Go listen. Go find us on social media. I can never remember which one is which.
Peaceful Army Pod on Instagram and TikTok. If you just look up the Peaceful Army Podcast, you will find us.
Yeah. You're bound
Y'all
to
are the
find
only
us.
one.
We're the only Peaceful Army podcast except for the Gretaverse.
The Gretaverse.
Peaceful. Hashtag also peaceful.
Hashtag also peaceful. But we'll see you guys next week. And if you're sad and can't wait for that, like I said, go listen to part 2.
Part 2. It's a good listen.
Yes. All right. Bye, Gresties.
Bye, Gresties.
Bye.